Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 418. Yeah, okay. So I know you're looking in the title and it says episode 419, but it's really 418. And after the podcast, I got to go make an edit. I don't know why I came up with 419 because I look in my back page, so I know which one it is because when you get old, you forget, right? I thought I had it right. I had it written down right on here, and I wrote 419. So, so if you're looking, you're like 419. What in the world? No, it's 418. It is 418. It'll be fixed. All right. Welcome to the JP8 report. Rewrite. So that's not the only thing I had to rewrite. I had written so my original one, the title of the podcast this morning was going to be D&I, Save America, FISA, and Blue Slips. Because the whole thing going on with the D&I and the SDNY and the Save America Act, FISA, and whole thing, man. And I was like, maybe I'll do one on the MOU. So I had dual things written up here, and then this happened. They found out who the ringleader was for the UFC plot. And that's what I'm going to lead off when I get done with the Iran update. All right. Well, there's another one. Major Capers is going to be getting his, James Capers is going to be receiving his Medal of Honor of the day too, which is awesome stuff. Well, welcome to the JP8 report. As we get started, if you are not already a follower of the JP8 report, please go over. You'll see a little bell. See JP8 report, and you see join and a bell. Click that little arrow right beside the bell, and then look at the bottom of it, and you'll see follow. Click that follow button for me, and then hit that thumbs up button for a like. I really appreciate that. Why is that not working? Oh, there we go. And then chat. You can chat. Chat's free. Chat's temporary. Like you type and forget because when I sign off of the podcast, it goes away. All right. So that being said, we are in America 250. Why did that stop? Man, everything's going. I didn't lose nothing, did I? Nope. Okay, I'm good. So America 250. On this day in 1776, Pennsylvania Provincial Conference declared independence from England and the British Crown, right? And then General Benedict Arnold made his final retreat from Canada, which was a defeat for us. But they said it was a very excruciating withdrawal from, because, a lot of them had smallpox. They were half frozen. They'd already been defeated once. They made a second attempt again, defeated again, and now they're withdrawn back into New York. All right. So that's what happened this day in 1776. Getting closer to July 4th. All right. We should have something else coming out of Philadelphia pretty soon. Go figure, right? Maybe 12, maybe 16 days. Go figure, right? All right. So the armament shop. So we have the armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the armament shop is Copper's Cove's premier source of all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Needed your CHL? Jason can handle those classes both online and in person. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text 254-560-2023, or visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right. So the Iran update. Here we go. All right. Share some comments if you've already seen this, the memorandum, and give us American flag. Get some comments of what y'all think about it. Okay. Matter of fact, in the comment section, put what you think about it, because I know most people will watch this, actually watch on demand. So if you're watching this, go back in and leave comments, and I'll read through them too, okay? All right. So yesterday, Trump signed the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, not a peace treaty, not a ceasefire pact. It's a memorandum of understanding, which gets you 60-day process to come to a ceasefire agreement. Right now, this is an extension into a 60-day ceasefire. Okay, it was signed in Paris at the Versailles Palace. Then the Pakistani Prime Minister announced the U.S. and Iran have both signed the MOU. The Strait of Hormuz to fully open is putting 50 vessels a day in there already, because everybody knows where the safe passages are. Emmanuel Macron called the MOU an encouraging step toward peace. Saudi Arabia said verification is the key. The talks in Geneva, scheduled for tomorrow, are unconfirmed at this point. We will see probably by the day. They might just materialize out of nowhere. Senator Lindsey Graham backs the MOU after, at first he said he didn't like it, but he talked to Steve Witkoff and read what was going on, and now he likes it. Okay? He says it can ease tensions in the Middle East. Lebanon pushes for a fast track of ceasefire talks with Israel, but Hezbollah hasn't gotten the message, because they're still launching drones and rockets in the north into northern Israel, and then Israel retaliates because they say they're defending their own territory, which is right. So someone needs to get a hold of Iran and Hezbollah and stop that fighting with the Hezbollah. All right. Brent crude oil, as of about 40 minutes ago, was at $78.38 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate was at $75.11 a barrel. And the stock market closed yesterday at 51,492.55. It was down 507.12 points. All right. That's your Iran update. The first thing I want to talk about was, I saw this about 5:45 this morning, my time, right, is that there will be a Medal of Honor ceremony at the White House today. I'm going to read over this citation again, because he deserves it, right? I've seen this guy on TV several times talking, because he had a Bronze Star with the V device, and in 2010, the Bronze Star got upgraded to Silver Star, and they resubmitted again to be for a Medal of Honor. Okay, 15 years later, plus 30 years before that, 40 years before that, because this happened right before I was born. But yeah, so this guy very definitely deserve this honor. Okay, so I'm going to go over to him. Is Major James Capers. He was a lieutenant at the time. As a second lieutenant, leading a 9-man forced reconnaissance patrol near Fulak in April 1967, Capers and his team repeatedly encountered larger enemy forces while operating deep in contested territory. On the patrol's final day, an ambush left them severely wounded by gunfire and fragmentation wounds. Despite significant blood loss and extensive injuries, Capers continued directing supporting fires, coordinating his team's movements, and overseeing the evacuation. Refusing to leave before his Marines, he remained in command until every member of the patrol was safely aboard the extraction helicopter. Over a 22-year Marine Corps career, Capers broke barriers and opened doors for future generations of Marines, becoming the first Black Marine to join Force Reconnaissance, or Force Recon, as it's known today. He received the Battlefield Commission in the Marine Special Operations and commanded a reconnaissance company. All right. So today, Mr. Capers, or Major Capers, was Mr. Now, well, once a Marine, always a Marine anyway, right? But yeah, Major Capers is going to receive the Medal of Honor at the White House. All right. What an honor. I did check to see if Major Dockery was going to receive his. I couldn't find anything, so maybe they're just going to do his today and do Major Dockery's later, because Major Dockery is on active duty right now. He's the only active duty serving one that's going to be receiving this, right? Because the other Mr. Ripley, Colonel Ripley, passed away a few years ago. All right. So, because if you don't know that I actually talked about these guys on Monday, and then all of a sudden it came out this morning that this guy is actually going to receive his today. It's important, right? I have to be looking for that on the news because I would love to see that ceremony. All right. So I told you all about the change in the title of the podcast, right? That is because, well, before I get to that, in about 45 minutes from now, the Supreme Court goes into session, and they're supposed to be releasing opinions this afternoon. So this morning, I won't be on the air when that comes out. I will bring those to you tomorrow morning because there's some big ones still out there to be presented to the American public. So go to scotusblog.com. That's SCOTUSBLOG.com, and you'll be able to read this. Let me see here. I'm gonna give me a second here. What am I doing? I'm trying to use a mouse, and I'm looking at my tablet. Let's see, comments. It won't let me go to it. I can't. Oh, man. Okay. Well, maybe it'll let me do it. Hold on just a second. I'll get back to the podcast. There we go. My tablet's not cooperating. So comment. OTU. Supreme Court of the U.S. U.S. BLOG.com. SCOTUSblog.com. Okay. So I put it in there. So if y'all want to go there after the podcast, go for it. All right. All right. So I'm back here. So yeah. So I was leading in a different direction, 2 different ways for the title of the podcast. And then just a few minutes ago, I didn't even see it on Vince because he was doing his thing, right? So it came out this morning, and I don't have a timestamp on this. So a kid, no, he's not a kid, he's an adult, named Abraham Alvarez. He's an illegal alien from Mexico. He's identified, he's known as the Shepherd, okay? And this Shepherd is the ringleader of the plot of individuals that was going to attack at the UFC fight the other night and at the White House. All right. I don't know too much about this. I just printed it off. I could probably smear the no ink don't smear. It says Abraham Alvarez, identified in federal documents as the alleged ringleader of a plot to carry out a mass cast at the event of the UFC White House event on June 14th, is an illegal immigrant from Mexico who overstayed his visa, according to Homeland Security information first obtained by Fox News. Alvarez came to the United States as a child and was granted by the Obama administration in 2014 deportation relief through the DACA program. That's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. After he failed to leave the country when his B2 visa expired in 2001, 5 co-conspirators were arrested so far this month for allegedly planning with others to use drones equipped with explosives to force an evacuation of the White House event on Sunday, and in ensuing chaos, a team of snipers was allegedly set to open fire on the crowds. Federal investigators claim Alvarez was responsible for planning, organizing, and directing the planned attack. Court records ousted Alvarez as a foreign national, considering he consented to a consular notification after his arrest this weekend, though the documents provided no information on his specific immigration status nor his country of origin. But we know it's Mexico. U.S. Customs Enforcement lodged a detainer for Alvarez following the FBI arrest. Alvarez was arrested by the FBI on the day of the fight in Omaha, Nebraska. The White House and FBI declined to comment when asked by Fox News about the whereabouts of the other individuals involved in the group chat, and the former director of inquiry in DOJ press release. The illegal alien from Mexico should never have been allowed in our country, Acting Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss said in a statement to Fox. He was the ringleader of a failed terror attack targeting the UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. He will face justice and be swiftly removed from our country. After plans of the initial attack on Sunday, federal authorities claimed that the plotters planned a second wave where they would storm the White House gate. The co-conspirators purportedly sought to jumpstart a revolution in the U.S. with the violence, citing grievances such as government corruption, handling of the Epstein files, data centers using water, and the influence of Israel over domestic politics. Alvarez allegedly used the name Shepherd in a group chat dedicated to planning the attack. He was responsible for planning, organizing, and directing the planned attack, according to the DOJ press release. As many and as deadly as we can get, Alvarez allegedly responded when asked by a fellow plotter, when asked about making drones with explosives. Authorities said that they claimed to have a working drone. Investigators had identified 23 individuals who were part of the alleged planning network. However, as of publishing, only 5 arrests have been announced in connection with the plot. It is unclear why the UFC event proceeded, with many of these involved on the plot still seemingly at large. That's a good question, right? Maybe, this is a writer, right? But They already knew what was going on and probably plussed up security wholesale across the whole area that there would be no way they could have got away with that. The State Department did not respond to an inquiry from Fox whether or not it would revoke Alvarez's DACA immigration status if he is found guilty of involvement in the plot. If convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, each plotter faces a maximum penalty of life in prison and a $250,000 fine. Planning to carry out the violence on White House grounds carries an additional maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. I figured it'd be more than that. The vice president on Tuesday said on Tuesday that the alleged plans of the attack were not that advanced, noting that the plot was relatively undeveloped when it was caught and none of the suspects weren't in town during the event. Because they got caught, guys. They got caught. So look at this. Illegal alien. He was a DACA, but he's still a legal alien. When he got arrested, he said, I want to talk to the Mexican government, which means he revoked his own DACA status. The guy is a criminal. He's a terrorist. He was plotting to assassinate the president and whoever else was in that arena area, along with 14 Medal of Honor recipients, 14 fighters, 1,200 military personnel, and then there was 80,000 people out around the Washington Monument. This was serious. I'm glad they caught it before it could be executed, but he's still guilty. We have a problem with with illegal aliens in our country, and they need to be shown the door now. Get them out of our country before worse happens. How many Middle Easterns that are on the terrorist watch list, or they were getaways, so we have no clue where they are in our country and who they are. We need to get rid of the illegals out of our country. We got us a new Department of Homeland Security Secretary. We got Tom Homan. Let's get these people out. We have a fully funded budget for Homeland Security for the next 2.5 years. Let's get these people out of our country. What is it going to take? Americans being shot and killed by terrorists or being bombed by terrorists? We do not need this. We don't deserve this. We need action now to get these illegal aliens out of our country. Flat out. Full stop. Time hack. Remember. Okay? So let's get on to the memorandum. What are we doing? We're at 8:22. If you're proud of being American and you're watching right now, put an American flag in the chat for me, okay? Oh, man. Get my blood pressure down. How do you like my mug? I got it from, it's a tumbler. I got it from Blackout Coffee. And there's only tea in there, no coffee. All right, the MOU. Remember, the MOU is a memorandum. It's not a treaty. It's not a peace pact. It's not toilet paper. It's a memorandum of understanding. It's the guidelines of what they need to do for the next 60 days to try to get to a peace agreement. And like it says in here, that if it needs to be extended, the president said he'll extend it. It just be mutually agreed by both parties, and it will be extended. Flat out. The rhetoric coming out of the hard right and all over the left, orange man bad, orange man stupid, orange man don't know what he's talking about. It's a memorandum. It's to get things started. Okay? Like Lindsey Graham, I put in there, Lindsey Graham said this is a way to ease tensions. You can't always be facing each other through the barrel of a gun to get things done. Sometimes you have to take a step back and meet your adversary one for one. And if he messes up, like the president said, drop bombs on his head again. It may end up like that. But right now, cool heads need to prevail, and then they need to try to work this out and verify everything. Trust but verify. All right, so what we got here? I know I'm going to run out of time today, but that's all right. This UFC plot thing just came out, and I wanted to get it out to the open so everybody could see it, okay? Still don't see no American flags in there. Come on, guys. Do I need to start with this? I'll put American flag in there. Bam. Yep, there we go. So I'll put American flag in. All right. So this is the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding between the U.S. and Iran. The U.S. and Iran have jointly agreed in good faith and such date on the following. Oh yeah, this was a transcript from ABC. I couldn't figure out how to print the original one because it showed the president's signature. I'm going to find that one. The Islamabad Memorandum. Okay, we just read that one. The U.S. and Iran and their allies in the current war, by signing this MOU, declare an immediate and permanent termination of military ops on all fronts, including in Lebanon. Someone needs to notify Hezbollah about that one. And to undertake from now on and not to initiate any war or any military operation against each other, and to refrain from the threat or use of force against each other, and ensuring the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Lebanon, i.e., someone needs to tell Hezbollah about this. The final deal, 60 days from now, will confirm the permanent termination of the war, and on all fronts, including Lebanon. Someone needs to tell Hezbollah about this, and other provisions in this paragraph. The U.S. and Iran undertake to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and to refrain from interfering with each other's internal affairs, which means don't try to take out our president, and we won't try to take out your spiritual leader. The U.S. and Iran commit to negotiating and achieving the final deal in a maximum of 60 days, extendable with mutual consent. Immediately on the signing of this MOU, the U.S. will begin removal of its naval blockade and any disturbances and impediments against Iran, and will fully end the naval blockade within 30 days. Okay, hold on. I'm not saying the United States of America. I'm just saying the U.S. and I'm not saying the Islamic Republic of Iran. I'm just saying Iran because it's lots of words. Okay. During this period, traffic of vessels will be in proportion to the pre-war traffic numbers being restored by Iran. The U.S. further undertakes the removal of its forces from the proximity of Iran within 30 days after the final deal. Upon signing this MOU, Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, and considering the need for removal of technical and military obstacles and determined by Iran will be instated within 30 days. Iran will conduct dialogue with Oman to define the future administration of maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz, and in discussion with other Persian Gulf with oil states, in line with applicable international law and sovereign rights of coastal areas of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, remember, international law. International waterways are governed by international law. You cannot charge tolls on international waterways. So there cannot be tolls or fees charged for transiting the Strait of Hormuz as all. And the Persian Gulf states, that would be the people in the interior of the Persian Gulf, which would be Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, would never agree to paying tolls in the Strait of Hormuz. All right. The U.S. undertakes with regional partners to develop a definitive, mutual agreed plan with at least $300 billion for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. The mechanism for the implementation of this plan will be finalized as part of the final deal within 60 days. So they can't even do nothing for 60 days with this. All required licenses and permissions need to be financial transactions will be granted by the U.S., but there will be no U.S. money involved in this. It all comes from the Persian Gulf area. The U.S. undertakes to terminate all types of sanctions against Iran, including United Nations Security Council resolutions. The IAEA Board of Governors resolutions with all unilateral U.S. sanctions, primary and secondary, in the agreed upon schedule as part of the final deal. Iran and the U.S. acknowledge the critical importance of the sanctions termination issue above mentioned and express their intentions to immediately address these issues in the negotiations in order to achieve mutual agreement on items. Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons. The U.S. and Iran have agreed to resolve the disposition of stockpile enriched material pursuant to a mechanism that will be mutually agreed upon in accordance with the schedule mentioned in paragraph 7, with the minimum methodology to be downblending on site under the supervision of the IAEA. The two parties also agreed to discuss the issue of enrichment and other mutually agreed matters according to Iran's nuclear needs, based on a satisfactory network being agreed on in the final pact. Not now, but 60 days from now, right? The deal will affirm the provisions of this paragraph. The U.S. and Iran acknowledge the critical importance of nuclear issues above mentioned and express their intention to immediately address these issues in negotiations to achieve mutual agreement on them. Pending a final deal, the U.S. and Iran agreed to maintain the status quo. Iran will maintain the current status quo of its nuclear program, and the U.S. will not impose any new sanctions and will not deploy additional forces in the region. The U.S. undertakes immediately upon the signing of this MOU and until termination of sanctions, the U.S. Treasury will issue waivers for the export of Iranian crude oil, petroleum products, derivatives, and all associated services, including banking transactions, insurances, and transportation, which means they can go back in business. The U.S. undertakes to make fully available to use frozen or restricted funds from Iran upon the implementation of this MOU. The U.S. and Iran will mutually agree on the procedures related to the release of these funds during negotiation. Such funds, whether retained in the original account or transferred, shall be made available to usable for payment of any ultimate beneficiary designated by the Central Bank of Iran. The U.S. undertakes to issue all necessary licenses and authorizations accordingly. 12. the U.S. and Iran agreed that an executive mechanism will be established to monitor the successful implementation of this MOU and the future compliance of a final deal. 13. After signing the MOU and subject to the beginning of implementations of paragraphs 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11 of this MOU and the continued implementation of these measures, the U.S. and Iran will start negotiating the final deal exclusively on the other paragraphs. The final deal will be endorsed by a binding United Nations Security Council resolution, and then there's the signature page. Oh yeah, okay, that was the add-on. All right, so that's the MOU. All right, it's not a peace treaty. It's not a ceasefire pact. It's a memorandum of understanding to bring both sides to the tables as quietly as possible with no gunfire and meet the basic needs of the Iranian people, because that's what you got to look at, okay? You can be a naysayer and say, all that money's going to the IRGC they have no facilities to build rockets or missiles. They have no military facilities to build weapons at all. They have a light army. They don't have an air force. They don't have a navy. They probably have no more than 100 rockets still left in their entire inventory. Totally. And like I said earlier today, would you rather beat Iran down so hard, right, and leave them destitute where they can't provide for their country's needs, right, and to punish them arbitrarily over and over again to where they finally go off the deep end and say, we have no other recourse, we're going to do this all over again. Remember Germany after World War I and what the reparations that were charged toward Germany caused 20 years later. Okay? That's what I'm saying. You got to give peace a chance. Give them a chance to work this out. All right? The president said that this is, man, it's already 8:37. Man, the president said the 60-day timeline in the memorandum is not a hard deadline for the peace deal. All right? It's not. It can be extended. That's what the president was saying. That's what the memorandum was saying. Right? Trump told reporters they did not view the 60-day limit as a final deadline and downplay the agreement as preliminary, because that's what a memorandum is. I don't believe it is hard, just as long as they're behaving. I don't care that much. It's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding, and if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head. Hopefully, the spiritual leader caught wind of that, and he understands what's going on, because you have 60 days to work these issues out. 60. Iran, you will never have a nuclear weapon, whether it be plutonium, uranium, cesium, or everything. You can't even build a hydrogen weapon because that's nuclear, thermonuclear, right? You can't have it. So do the best for your country and just move on. Be peaceful. Before I go on to the next part, 2,500 years ago, and I know Islam didn't exist back then, okay? Who cares, right? But 2,500 years ago, you had Darius, and you had Cyrus, and you had Artaxerxes. Those were Persian kings, and they lived peacefully. They lived peacefully with the Israeli people, the Hebrews, the Jews. They did. Why can't you go back to that? Just live peaceful with them. I ain't saying like bring all the Jews to Iran and let them live with y'all. Leave them in Israel. Leave them alone. Don't try to kill them. It's already been shown to fact you are not going to overrun the country of Israel, no matter what you do. Doesn't matter if the whole country of Lebanon is a military, they're not going to defeat the Israeli army. So give it up. Enter into the peaceful League of Nations and just get on with it. Okay? Man. All right. So where are we at to next? We have DNI. I have 3 articles that I'm going to explain really quick, because it's already 8:40. Hold on just a second here. Yep. Let me get set. Okay, hold on. Okay, I was getting ready for Dan Bongino. All right, so you had a new ODNI, the Office of Director of National Intelligence. People call it the DNI, okay? Tulsi Gabbard, she's resigning at the end of this month. She has 12 days left in her office, unless there's a replacement, right? As of tomorrow, there's going to be an acting DNI. That's Bill Pulte, right? The left went apoplectic about him being the acting ODNI. They think they have input on who the DNI is. The acting DNI is acting. The president has authority to designate anyone as an acting secretary or director of anything. Just ask Marco Rubio. All right? Ask him. Ask Secretary Bassett. Ask him. All right? I would say ask Todd Blanche, but he's acting already. But still, that's the president's prerogative. And the left will say, we will never vote Pulte as the DNI. He's not even nominated to be the DNI at all. Jay Clayton is nominated to be the DNI. So the president nominated him last week to be the DNI. And all of a sudden, yesterday, there was going to be a confirmation. That is unbelievable. Someone to be the DNI, that high level of security, you're going to want to do background checks because he's coming from the he's a Security and Exchange Commission, SEC chair, right? Yeah, he's going to have some type of security, right? Security clearance, but nothing like what you're going to have. You're going to have a TSSCI plus special access clearance, right? You will have that. It takes time to do that paperwork and get everything prepared to go through confirmation hearings. And all of a sudden, John Thune said his confirmation hearing is going to be yesterday, less than a week after he was nominated. We're like, what in the world is going on where they want to get him confirmed as soon as possible and put him to work? Huh? What? Well, let's see. So the president, and the same day he did the nomination for Jay Clayton, he nominated Jamie McDonald to be the new U.S. attorney in the SDNY, the Southern District of New York, right? To replace Jay Cutler, because not only was he the former SEC, but he was also the U.S. attorney in Southern New York, right? So now you have 2 confirmations going on, right? So if they confirm Jay Clayton, there's going to be an opening in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Southern District. But they nominated Jamie McDonald to be in that position. What do you do about that? Well, let's put it like this. There's an unconstitutional thing called a blue slip. It's a gentleman's agreement in the U.S. Senate, where any senator from the state that person is going to be working in, that's either a lawyer, a U.S. attorney or a judge, one of the two U.S. senators in that state can pull out what they call a blue slip. And what the blue slip does is it indefinitely holds the nomination of that said person for either be a judge or a U.S. attorney indefinitely on hold, and you'll never get a confirmation hearing at all. And in New York, you have Chucky Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand as U.S. Senator, and they're both Democrats. They will never allow him to come to a vote. So the president was at a dilemma. So the president starts playing chess. So you get, okay, so what am I going to do? So if I have them go ahead and confirm Clayton, then I got an empty seat, and they're not going to confirm McDonald because they're going to pull a blue slip. So the president playing chess, he just put the Republican Senate in check and said, do this now. And then they dropped the confirmation process. But what he said is confirm Jamie McDonald as the U.S. attorney, and then we can go forward with the confirmation process of Jay Clayton. All right, too many names out here. Hold on just a second. That is serious because I'm tired of the blue slip thing myself. I've explained it several times in the last several months, over and over again. Especially ask Alina Habba. She was going to be the U.S. attorney in New Jersey. Cory Booker and Andy Kim both did the blue slip process. She's not a U.S. attorney. She's an assistant to the president somewhere. I'm right. It happens all over the place. If you're in a Democrat state, if you want a conservative U.S. attorney, conservative judge, and there's Democrats there, chances are you're not going to be in there. And it hurts. It hurts us. And it's a gentleman's agreement. It's not in the Constitution. It can just be done away with. And Chuck Grassley from U.S. Senator from Iowa will not entertain the concept of doing away with it. I don't understand. It's a power thing. That's what it is, right? And it's all one big good old boy club. You ought to heard about the discussion about the meeting they had yesterday in D.C. with all the Republican senators, right? They were piling on to Mike Lee because he's insisting the FISA Act and the Save America Act need to be passed. And he's pushing for the Save America Act. And John Kennedy, Senator from Louisiana, John Cornyn, Bill Cassidy, and John Thune were telling him that absolutely not, the Save America Act will not get passed. Right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Save America equals FISA, which equals OD&I, which equals SDNY. You can have it the easy way or the hard way. Just let's get it done. Get it done. Keep America safe. I don't agree with the 702 either. Section 702, I call a blatant disregard of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. But evidently, we need it. I hate it. I hate it. But if you're going to do it, let's get some people competent enough to be in those offices without any obstruction. So, what's it going to come to? I mean, what do we need to do to forward our country? We got people conspiring against the president. I heard last night there was hold on just a second. Oh, they're talking about World Cup stuff. Uh, Someone was illegally recording the president of in the sit room. How did they even get a recording device in the sit room, right? And I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't Marco Rubio or Pam Bondi because they were being recorded. So somebody else had a recording device in the sit room, and they know about it because they went to the New York Times and saw them writing a book. Maybe this is why they jumped off with the NDA stuff, so they can. Well, you can if you enter into the sit room with a recording device, you're going to be arrested if you get caught, right? And all they have to do is watch the video and see where everybody is and who's not on camera, because that's where you're going to figure out who it was. All right. So, U.S. Senate confirmed Jamie McDonald, SDNY U.S. Attorney, and then confirmed Jay Clayton as the ODNI, and then you don't have to worry about Bill Pulte and go back to work. All right. So take that as any way you want it, but that's how it is. We're at 8:50. We're doing pretty good here. Yesterday was the very first Federal Reserve meeting with Kevin Warsh as the Federal Reserve chair. They took a vote, and with increased inflationary pressures, they said a wholesale business inflation was that'd be the producer price index was at 6%, and the CPI consumers was at 4%. That's dealing with like fuel prices and stuff. So um, with that, they and other inflationary measures, they decided to keep the interest rates the same. All right. And the president didn't like it. He looked like he understood, because you don't want to cut interest rates and then spike inflation, because that makes everything more expensive. You got to take it a separate. They're going to meet next month anyway. So when they meet next month anyway, with the price, how the oil is falling and the price of gas, I didn't tell y'all, but the price of gas was uh, was this morning at Sam's Club in Harker Heights, Texas, was $3.02 a gallon. We're about to slip below the $3 level. That's great. I'm not complaining, because that's good. It's just going to continue to drop, right? So you can be mad at Kevin Warsh. Let's see. Stock market has been open. Let's see what the Dow Jones is looking like right now. Hold on, I'll tell you real quick. It's up 308 points. They're about to go over 52,000, which would be a record. All right. So, and then we had the president signed a one-page memo yesterday, um, authorizing the Defense Production Act, so they can restock munitions because of the war in Iran, and supplying Israel and supplying the Ukraine. Right? Did you see that Ukraine had a drone attack on a Russian petrochemical plant and blew the top sky high? The thing looked like a UFO. What is it? Independence Day. Those ships on Independence Day, the movie. Uh, the top of it flew off and turned upside down and crashed and blew up. Awesome picture. I know people probably died in that, but you know what? That's war. But that was an awesome picture. But that stuff costs money, and they need supplies and stuff. We're supplying it to them. Man, and the president said he had a very good phone call with Vladimir Zelensky yesterday anyway. So who knows what's up, right? But the president signed this to increase production of munitions that we need. 8:53. We're running out of time. I'm not going to get to all of it. I wanted to get to this really bad. So, unbelievable. You know everything's going on with the SPLC, right? Southern Poverty Law Center. You know, that racist organization. They think they're working for civil rights. Okay. I've got to read this one. I'm not going to ad-lib it. I'm not going to paraphrase it. I'm going to make sure you're sitting down or y'all are parked if you're driving down the road listening to this right now. All right? A top SPLC official has been accused of helping funnel more than $1.2 million in donor funds to a confidential informant who infiltrated a neo-Nazi organization. You might say, fine, okay, yeah. But a source prosecutors say was also the officials, the person that did this, secret romantic partner. Yes. The details were revealed in a superseding indictment on June 2nd by DOJ against the SPLC, which faced scrutiny over allegations and it funded individuals tied to extremist groups it publicly opposed. Criminals all around. According to the document, the director of the SPLC's intelligence project was in a secret romantic relationship with a paid field source who infiltrated a neo-Nazi organization known as the National Alliance at the direction of the SPLC. The director of the SPLC reportedly shared a home with the source and allegedly used a fake company to funnel charitable funds to the partner. A significant portion of the money reportedly ended up in a shared bank account used to fund their life together. Oh my goodness. So he's paying himself to pay her to pay the neo-Nazis. There's a whole bunch of things that go wrong with that one. Based on details laid out in the superseding indictment, the individual was identified only as the person who would become director of the SPLC's intelligence project. The official reportedly conducted the financial transactions between 2015 and 2021. According to congressional and SPLC docs, the director at that time was Heidi Burches. So she paid a guy to infiltrate, and so she had a shared bank account with the guy. So she had money to go get her makeup and face and nails done, go on high polluting dates with them, right? The SPLC declined to comment on the Fox News document. Wow. So she created a shell company called Tech Riders, and that's who she funneled the money through for him to be able to use and for her to be able to use too. Wow. Investigators reportedly traced roughly $140,000 in donor funds directly from the SPLC main operating account through Tech Riders' shell company and ultimately into the couple's shared personal account. Prosecutors said those funds accounted roughly 2/3 of the money they held in the company's joint accounts and were used to pay for everyday household and living expenses. Unbelievable. Okay, that's hilarious. Today in Killeen at the old Kmart shopping center over by Raising Cane's in area 254 is Pints and Politics. It starts at 6 p.m. You go in the main doors, go to the right, and you go upstairs into the upper room. That's where it's at, 6 p.m. All right? So, and then on the 30th of June, we have the Coryell County Republican Party organizational meeting. It's required by state law. That's where we select where we select for the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. And we go over our bylaws and set priorities for the year and get going on that. And we're going to meet at Trinity Worship Center in about a week and a half for it. All right. It's 8:59. I'm going to do our raid over to the Dave Bongino show. I hope y'all have a great day. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like this and then follow And then we'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:30 Central, okay? I'm going to initiate the Ray, the Dane Bongino. There it is. I will catch you on the flip side. Out.